Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Transitioning to Wholeness. I'm your host, Algerina Pringle. And tonight I have with me Miss Candace Grant. Welcome, Candace.
Hey, Algerina. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us on tonight.
I'm happy to be here.
Tonight we'll be talking about a family's ambitions during the toughest times.
hmm hmm
Because Miss Candace got a story to tell, and her story is just so inspiring.
Thank you. Thank
And
God.
we just gonna hey. So Candace, welcome tonight. I'm gonna let you tell the people a little bit about you, your organizations, what you got going on, how they can contact you.
Okay. All right. So my name is Candace. Thank you again for having me tonight.
You're welcome.
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina with my husband and with my children, who are actually now young adults. So my husband and I live together, and my children happen to be here too. Um, I am an author so far of two published works. My first book is called Be Willing: How to Live an Affirmative and Empowered Life Right Now. And we'll be talking about that tonight because that's part of the story. And the other book is an anthology. So it's a group of writings put together with 13 other African American women where we talked about our mothers and shared our stories called Mama Stories. And I'm working on book number 3 right now.
Woo.
Um, I'm also a speaker. So I speak for nonprofit organizations in the area, and I'm an advocate, community advocate for different causes, but mainly for parents of children diagnosed with special healthcare needs or with special diagnoses like autism, epilepsy, or that kind of thing. Also for people who have health challenges or trying to live beyond those diagnoses, like kidney disease specifically, since I am a kidney transplant recipient since 2011.
Oh
So,
wow.
yes, and I do work in particular with one organization right now called Trusted Parents. It is an organization founded by a fellow mom of a child diagnosed with autism. And we work with families here in the Charlotte area and beyond to help assist them in helping their children and their young adults move through their lives and enjoy themselves with resources that will help make life easier.
Awesome. Miss Candace is a busy woman. Busy. For all that you do on your third book, that's huge.
Thank you.
That is
Thank,
huge.
thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, let's see. My husband Keith and I, we're both originally from South Carolina, and we moved to the Charlotte area. Let's see.
What part of South Carolina y'all from?
I'm from Columbia.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're in Sumter, right?
Yeah.
Yep, from Columbia. And at one point, we lived, when I was growing up, my family and I lived right near Lower Richland High School.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother graduated from Lower Richland High School. So we were
Okay.
down in that area for a while. We moved around a little bit. And then I graduated from USC in Columbia. And I met my husband, who went to South Carolina State University. He's originally from Charleston. So both of us were in South Carolina and we met and got married and then moved up the road to Rock Hill and from there up to Charlotte.
Okay.
So, yes, we made a little trek right up the road. My husband, again from Charleston, went to South Carolina State, majored in computer science, and now IT is his everything. That's what he does for a living. Everything involving IT is him. So he's a solutions provider for a lot of different companies here in Charlotte. Um, our first child is Cam. He's now 28 years old. I
Ooh.
can't even believe that when I say that out loud. He is 28 years old, and he followed in his dad's footsteps. He went to university here in North Carolina and got a degree in IT. So he's working in the industry. Our
Wow.
youngest child is our only girl. Her name is Carisi, and she just graduated from North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, and her major was fashion design and merchandising. So she just got back from New York, where she did a long internship, and she's here figuring out what her next steps are going to be.
All
And
right.
our third child is going to be the topic of a lot of what we talk about tonight too. He's Corey. Corey is now our angel in heaven. Corey would have been 26 years old. Corey
Mm.
was born with diagnosis of autism, and it was his birth that sent our family in a different direction. A lot of lessons, a lot of love, a lot of challenges. Um, but so much joy, so much joy. So he was born with that diagnosis of autism. Later in life, developed epilepsy, and then still later, kidney failure.
All
So
right.
it's going to be a large part of what we talk about tonight.
All right.
Mm.
So, what inspired y'all to keep going through those times?
To be honest, well, we all know all encouragement and inspiration comes from God. And it's what's interesting, Aldrina, about that is, you grow up hearing that and knowing that, God is the foundation of your life, and you turn to God when you face any hardships and all those things. And you get it because you're told these things. But it's when those challenging times really visit your path and
Mm-hmm.
you truly have no other way to make it through. You can't think your way out of it. You can't plan your way out of it. That's when you really realize in action. I read something the other day that I liked a lot. It said, God is a verb, not a noun. And that's because God is action. These
Yes.
stories that we're reading about in the Bible, or, whatever other holy books that people are reading, these are not old tales. This is real. And this is today. And when we need God, God is available for us.
Mm.
So first of all, it was that kept us going. What I think I left out of the story, I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping around, so you may have to reel me back in. But around the time that Corey received his diagnosis of autism, he was 3 at the time. We could tell that he was developing differently from the way his older brother had, and we were fine with that. We just figure every child is different, and they're going to walk their road the way they do it. But when we
Right.
decided to go ahead and have him evaluated, we were homeschooling at the time too, and we were just kind of noticing little things. After he received his diagnosis, I just went into overdrive, and I decided that I was going to learn everything there was to know about autism. I was going to take him to receive the help that he needed so that I would know better how to teach him and to give
Mm-hmm.
him what he needed. So that led to me contacting every professional in Charlotte and taking him everywhere to be evaluated. And I learned a lot along that path, a lot that I thankfully now years later can share with other families. But
Right.
I also stressed myself out during that time because I was so consumed with getting all the answers and wanted to know how to help him.
As a
So
mother would.
as a mother would,
Mm.
when I would sit, with myself, there was something really bothering me about the fact that I couldn't provide answers for what my son was experiencing. With my personality and with my philosophy, I was fine if that was going to be the way it was. I just wanted to make sure that he had the best of everything, and I
Right.
wanted to be able to understand. So it was a trying time because I just really kicked it. I kicked way into overdrive when we finally did decide to let him go to the school system where he
Mm.
could get the resources that we wanted him to have: speech therapy, occupational therapy, because at that time he was developing and he could let you know what he wanted in his own way, by gesturing. He made sure that he got what he wanted, but he wasn't using words to do it.
Right. Right.
So I wanted to make sure that he had that available if it was something that he was going to do. So I literally went to school with that kid every single day for months, probably the whole first semester. I was there every single day. And I sat in the class and I took notes. I went to all the therapy sessions. I asked all the questions. I wanted to know. It got to
Right.
the place where the principal told me she wanted to hire me because she's like, "You're here every day. I feel like I should be paying you." But in that time, I overdid it. I pushed God out of the driver's seat. I knew that in hindsight. I just,
Mm-hmm. Took
my
control of
fear,
yourself.
I took control
You
myself.
took control of the wheel.
Yes, I
So
did.
by you taking control of the wheel, what was the starting point of things when they start taking an unexpected turn for you?
It started just then. After continuing to go to school with him every day and doing all the things, it started to take its toll on my body.
Mm.
I started feeling tired. I could tell that I didn't have the energy that I normally would, and I just told myself it was because I was doing a lot at the school. But it increased, and it moved from being tired to really feeling exhausted.
Mhm.
And I got to the place where I had to go visit my doctor, and that's when we found out that things weren't looking quite so well, and they were telling me I should probably scale back. That led down an entire road, an unexpected journey. Eventually, that took me to being rushed to the emergency room one night. I had extreme hemorrhaging going on. I had flu-like symptoms. I had zero energy, And my husband literally had to carry me down the stairs to take me to the ER. And by the time we got there, I don't know, parts of the story is kind of spotty for me because I don't remember all the
Right.
details, but I remember the doctor coming in to me saying, you're going to have to start dialysis because your kidneys are functioning at 20%.
Mm. Wow.
And we have to clear the waste out of your body. So this is what we have to do. And it was, you know, as I look back, I can see the signs were there, but I was
Mhm.
pressing so hard, just telling myself that I was all right. I just needed to get the answers from
Right.
him, like so many mothers do. So
Right.
that was the start of when tables started to turn for our family.
Yeah, because so often we see the signs, we ignore them because at that moment, to taking care of your son, that was more important than taking care of yourself. You were like,
That's
and
right.
that's how we do. We like, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. I just got to get this done. I got to make sure you're okay. You're okay. But then that moment come.
That's right. That's exactly where it was. And like you said, I thought I was being a good mother, and I really didn't think that anything else was going on. I just figured I was tired because I was doing a lot. At that time, I was also in graduate school getting my master's because I wanted to have a practice for parents of children diagnosed with special needs. I wanted to be able to provide therapy for parents and let them know that having a child with special needs wasn't a death sentence. That this is something we could work together to do. So I was just doing way too much. I really was. I really was.
Right.
I remember sitting in the office with the doctor and him saying to me that, when it was actually time officially for me to start dialysis, and him
Mm,
saying, well, you have to understand, you also have a diagnosis of lupus.
mm,
This is a diagnosis I received earlier in life. And for those watching who don't know exactly what that is, we hear the word. It's an autoimmune disorder, which means the body fights against itself. It will actually fight itself as if the body itself is a sickness. So the organs can turn on themselves. And he kept telling me, exhaustion and this diagnosis, it just makes sense.
so you
And
was you was diagnosed with lupus before you got dialysis, started
I
dialysis?
did. Yes, I'm hopping. So yeah, let me back
Like,
up. I did. I received that diagnosis, years before. I think I might have been maybe as far back as middle school, because I
mm,
can remember talking to my mom about noticing little things like my hands. For example, when I would go outside, I would say when I come back in, my hands are still really white and frozen. I can't use them.
mm-hmm,
So she took me to the doctor and they ran blood work. And he explained at that time, he called it something else. He called it connective tissue disorder.
mm-hmm.
And he said, just make sure you exercise and take good care of yourself, and your body will take care of you. You should be fine. So after, years went by, and with all the stress and everything that I was undergoing, that's when they actually named that particular connective tissue disorder. It's
Right.
kind of a broad term, and they pinpointed that it was actually lupus. That
Lupus.
was the actual disorder that I had going on. But it
Mm,
had never bothered me prior to that. I never really had any issues. So I know, and this is what I told the doctor sitting there. I realized that that's the name of something that was going on inside my body, but
mm-hmm,
because it really hadn't been an issue for me, I know that it was stress, and it was also me deciding to kick God out of the driver's seat and just
mm,
try to take everything over that must have aggravated what was a quiet thing before. So I said,
right.
I know what I did and I know what I have to do.
Yeah, God
Um,
got a way of getting our attention.
yes, yes, that is so true. That is so very true. And that definitely got my attention. It got the attention of my entire family. We just all stopped.
So
We
when
all
those
have,
diagnoses was coming along with the lupus kicking in and the dialysis, what was the family? How did your family push through that?
but thankfully, what we were able to do is I started dialysis. I started in the hospital. I was released from the hospital, and then I had to go outpatient dialysis 3 times a week. That's how I started off. And my mother and my brother also live here in Charlotte, or lived here in Charlotte at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved in to our home. They literally just moved in, and they resumed taking care of the kids for me and my husband Keith. And Keith would come with me whenever I had to go to dialysis or whenever I had any kind of health, anything going on with my health. He was there so that they could be here with the kids. So our life just completely rearranged. My mom was willing to drop everything. My brother too. They
Right.
came here and they just helped to take care of the kids, and they worked it out, letting me be able to just kind of sit with myself and
Right.
face what I was experiencing. And that was a real blessing. I
Yeah,
do
that's
not know
very
how we would have
important.
done it
Yeah,
without
that's
them being
very
there.
important.
Yes, it is.
A
Yes, it
big
really
help.
is.
Because otherwise, you would have been your health declining, but you still would have been worried about taking care of your son
That's right. I
and
really would
not
have.
realizing that in the whole process of you killing yourself, you won't be able to take care of him if you didn't take care of yourself.
That's it. I can remember my mom walking to my bedroom telling me just those words. She looked at me, and my mom, who actually went to heaven in 2020, she walked in the room, very soft spoken, very gentle woman. But she walked in that room and looked at me as I was lying on my bed and said, "You're going to have to get it together. You are going to have to get it together. I understand what you're doing. We all love Corey. We're all concerned, but you are about to die worrying for him. And we're not going to let that happen. Okay. I'm your mother. You're his mother. We're going to have to take some deep breaths and pray. And you're going to have to get up out of that bed. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to dedicate ourselves to getting you out of this bed. So I'm ready to do it if you're ready to do it. Let's go."
All right. That's
Yeah.
good. And that's
Yeah.
and that's we need that
We
sometimes.
need that.
We need that.
We need that. You are so right. So that I had those words in the back of my head. I had my husband's words coming back in. She walked out of the room. He came in the room saying, "I'm not doing this by myself. I'm not.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna need you to get up.
So
Come on,
how
let's
long you
go."
been on dialysis?
Oh, I went through dialysis for almost 4 years.
Mhm.
4 years. Starting off going in clinic. So I would go in 3 times a week, and I was the youngest person there, surrounded by a lot of beautiful, loving older people who were there with me. And shortly after being there, my doctor talked to me saying, "You really ought to consider being on the transplant list.
Mhm.
You should consider it." And at first, I said no, because I had in my head that God was just going to heal me from that experience. So I was like, I'm not even gonna need to do that.
Mhm.
This is not even gonna last. So that was a continual conversation between me and my doctor. He kept saying, "I'm not trying to test your faith." He said, "But why don't you just go ahead and put yourself on the list? So that way, no matter how God decides to deliver this healing, you have it. But please just go ahead and do this." So
Right.
eventually, I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did, because I went ahead and signed up. And I stayed on that list for about 3.5 years. I did dialysis, that
Mhm.
form of dialysis. And eventually I started doing dialysis at home. And I did that for about a year and a half before I had my transplant.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was and between actually during doing dialysis, which is a godsend. It really is, truly. I write a lot about it, and I write about some of the negative experiences I had, because it was such a shock for me. I was not expecting to have to undergo anything like that. But in my experience, I had to make a few trips to the hospital between my
Mhm.
dialysis visits. A lot of times when a dialysis patient has too much fluid going on in their body between the time they go to see the dialysis center, go to the dialysis center to have it cleaned off, it can lead to problems. So I wound up having to have an open heart surgery.
Ooh.
Yes, along my road. I was out with my family through on the days I
So the
wasn't
open
doing.
heart surgery, you done had the kidney transplant.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me back you up again. So this is while I was doing dialysis. One particular day, I was out with my family. This is before the transplant. This is just one of
Mhm.
those days, and we're having a weekend outing, and I just found myself short of breath, which can happen a lot if someone on dialysis has too much fluid going on. Since their kidneys aren't working well, they're not urinating as well as they need to, and so it's
Mhm.
not sweeping out the trash.
Right.
So it was before I went to dialysis the next day. I was having trouble breathing. And we just had an agreement that if I was having trouble breathing or anything weird happened, I would just go to the ER. And I'm
Mhm.
glad I did that day, because when we got there, the doctor told me that there was a clot or something at the end of my dialysis tube,
Mhm.
and they could see it on the x-ray. And he said, "So we're going to have to either have open heart surgery now to get this out, or we're going to have to give you blood thinners. What do you think you should do?" And
Mhm.
this is what I mean when I say God is real and God is here in every moment, because I had no possible way of answering that question. I I had no idea what to say. So literally, my husband and I just went there, sat there, and prayed, and said, "God, you have to give us the right answer, because I have no clue. I don't
Mhm.
know." So that turned into them inviting some specialists to come in to assess my situation, to find out if it would be wise at that point to do open heart surgery or if we should consider blood thinners and try to hope that the clot dissipated. And we wound up doing open heart surgery. And
Mm.
thank God I got through that.
Yes.
And then it was a year or so later that I was able to get, maybe 2 years later, that I was able to get the transplant because that
Wow.
came around.
So you done been diagnosed with lupus,
Mhm.
then been on dialysis,
Yes.
then had open heart surgery,
Hmm.
and now a kidney on the list to have a kidney transplant done.
Kidney transplant. Yes. Had the kidney transplant November 28th of 2011. I'll never forget that day. Got that call. My husband and I had the kids, my brother and my mother, I think, took my kids to school, and my husband and I went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, the transplant went through beautifully. They told me as soon as they connected the kidney while I was on the operating table, I started going to the bathroom right there on the table, and I was just fine with that. And it's been going well ever since. I'm really thankful to God to say, going
That
very
is
well.
good. That is amazing. That is
Yes.
amazing. Amazing. So when you talk about you felt like you had abandoned your faith during that time?
I do. I felt like I was trying to take control of everything during that time. I wasn't expecting my son to have a diagnosis of autism, and I was fine with the diagnosis. I just wanted to know how to handle it.
Right.
I was okay with that. And that's what I kept telling myself. I'm okay with it. I just want to know how to help.
Right.
But what I realized later on is that I was actually trying to take control of it. I wanted
Mhm.
to fix it. He was fine. I just wanted to fix it for him. I wanted to make sure that life was going to be okay for him. So I feel like that wasn't really practicing divine faith. Wasn't really practicing trust at that point. I was trying to seize control.
Right.
So that's why I kind of feel as if I just wasn't doing the right thing in terms of surrender. And there's that
Mm.
word. I was
Mm.
I was not willing to surrender it. I was willing to have God next to me, whispering some things to me. But I decided that I needed to make the turns.
Right. Because you
uh,
want you wanted results and you wanted results now.
that's right. That's right. That's exactly it.
And we don't want to wait on God.
Mhm,
We
mm-mm.
want to take control because this need to get done now. Now we need to do this, get this, and they know we just messing everything up.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes. And that's always been a thing with me, I think. I kind of felt like surrender was an ugly word. I never really liked that. And so especially going through something like that, I just kind of figured I was supposed to be taking charge. I was supposed to be. What kind of mother sits by and doesn't take charge when something like this goes on? So I didn't know how to make that work. I didn't understand how I was supposed to surrender and let go in a situation like that. So I learned this experience, this journey did teach me that we really have to. We really have to, because I wrote about this in the book. My husband said to me one day when I was talking, there was something I wanted to do. I think I was talking about graduate school before I signed up. And I said, I really would like to do this, but I don't know. I have to make sure that, Corey is taken care of. I have to make sure that, and I kept talking. He said, you ever notice how often you use those words? I have to make sure. I
Mm.
have to make sure. You ever notice you say that all the time? And he said,
Mm.
the truth is, we're really not running anything anyway. So we're not in control of this whole thing. All we can do is take those steps and trust God. And I
Right.
really hadn't paid attention to how much I said that, but I did say it all the time. I have to make sure. I have to do. And you're right, we do that.
And so now that you know surrender is a must, how do we surrender and let go of that control?
Mm. I tell you, the experience of our son stepping into heaven has been one of the biggest lessons in letting go that I think I've had. Even with, all the things we talked about with the diagnosis of lupus and going through dialysis for 5 years, that was a lesson. Having the kidney transplant and, caring for myself afterwards. I think caring for Corey when he was still, living here on earth and learning the journey that we're taking now through grief is teaching me more about letting go too. Um, I think your question was, how do we do it?
Mm-hmm. How do we let go of that control? How do
What
you
I
do?
learned,
Mm-hmm.
what I learned to do, what I had to do was I had to, first of all, I had to hear that message over and over and over and over and over again, apparently. Even when I was back in the hospital from doing dialysis, my minister came to visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling her, just telling her it wasn't supposed to be this way. And this is not how I wanted it to go. And I just don't even feel like this is right. And, she calmed me down. And she said something really interesting to me. She said, it's very easy to face situations like this with fear.
Mm-hmm.
She said, but let me ask you something. Have you sent love to this situation yet?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her I literally had no idea what she was talking about. How would I
Right.
even do that? What does that even mean? And she said, well, we know that God is love, and
Mm-hmm.
we know that love bears all things. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can send love to this situation for even just a few minutes, if you can allow yourself to do that, then maybe it eases it for you. Because again, it's easy for you to be upset. And I'm not trying to say you're
Right.
wrong for feeling what you're feeling, but if you can
Right.
just take a moment to just send love to this situation, let's send love to that clot for showing itself to you. Because many
Mm-hmm.
people don't even know.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Right? Right. I'd
That's a
never
good,
heard
yeah.
never heard it put like that before.
Right.
So
Wow.
she kind of challenged me to start sending love in those moments. Just take a minute to sit back and send love to something you're worried about. Let's send it love.
Mm. You gotta write that one down.
Right. I wrote it in the book. I'm telling you. That's something I still have to remind myself, with Corey. As I said, he had a diagnosis of autism and then in his teens developed epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would have seizures, um, his example, my children are another way that I was able to learn to let go because
Mm-hmm.
they taught and still teach me the importance of letting things be. He would have seizures, and after the seizures, he would sit up and say, "Mommy, I'm okay. I'm okay." you know, and then get himself up. He would be prepared to get himself up and get ready to go out and spend his day with his assistant out in the community. He never let anything stop him from moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. Even if it was a day that he'd had a seizure and he was really tired, he would just sleep. But in his mind, he was going to take a nap, but he was still going to go. He still had plans to do. He still had a life to lead. And he continued. And I learned from watching them that I had to do what was right before me instead of trying to figure out the whole day and the whole plan. I could take one step at a time. So that's another tip. I think sending love to whatever it is you're facing,
Yeah.
doing one thing at a time instead of trying to
Mhm.
figure out the whole plan.
Yes. And that's our problem. We look at the whole big picture and we try to fix it all. We ain't got time for this stuff. We just needed to be right and needed to be right now.
That's it. That's it. You're right about that because I wanted all the answers now. I didn't want to wait
Mhm.
to figure it out or have to walk through any of the unknown. Just tell me what we need to do so we can do it.
Child, and and right now, this life, that's just how life is. You can
Yeah.
only take right now life day by day.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And one of my friends said to me, you know what? Sometimes it's minute by minute, literally. Like sometimes you just have
Yeah,
to, I'm in this moment, and God, you're carrying me through this moment. So I'm going to be all right in this moment. And we'll see what the next minute has. But we got to
yeah,
take it in stages, in
yeah.
stages.
And
So I definitely,
while you taking those moments and stages, take deep breaths.
you said it right there, Algerina.
I've been
And
taking a lot. I've been noticing lately. I've been taking a lot of deep breaths, and these ain't no regular breaths. I can feel them breaths coming from the pit of my stomach,
that's right.
and when I
Oh,
release it, I just feel something.
yes.
And I noticed it been happening a lot lately. It ain't just no regular like me trying to breathe in. No, these been different breaths.
Yeah, you know what? Ooh, see, you took me to where I was supposed to go. Because I earlier on in my path, I did yoga teacher training also
Mm-hmm.
because when I was going through my health challenge with dialysis, there were a lot of exercises that I wasn't really supposed to do with a catheter that I was wearing. But a friend of mine taught yoga in her basement, and she said, this will be like gentle stretching for you, and we'll also spend a lot of time breathing, and that's going to be good for you. So I started doing that because it was really the only exercise that I could kind of do at the time. And I learned from that and from yoga teacher training, breath. If you have nothing else,
Mm.
if you breathe, like you said, not just from your chest, but if you can let
Mm-hmm.
yourself actually breathe from down here, your diaphragm, the pit of your stomach,
Mm.
It will slow everything down for you.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
really will. And allow you to, like you said, allow you to take that step by step, that moment by moment by moment.
Mm-hmm.
It really will. You're so right. And I did learn also through this experience. One of the times that I went to the hospital and I couldn't breathe for myself, I was rushed to the hospital again. And Aldrine, I could not find it. I could not grasp that next breath. And it was the most frightening thing that I'd ever experienced. I couldn't catch it. And I just remember lying in the back of the ambulance trying to tell them I can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I couldn't talk. So they must have read it and they started giving me oxygen. But I just remember praying to God, you're going to have to breathe for me, please.
Mm.
Literally just breathe for me, please, because
Mm.
I can't. I can't.
Wow.
So in that moment, I did learn surrender. That was another example how to learn literally to ask God to give me my next breath, please, God. We know he's doing it anyway, but to literally be in that moment where every second you have to inhale for me, you have to exhale for me. I cannot do this.
Mm. Wow.
I learned that is another way, like you said, breath is another way to be able to surrender and let go.
So you should have that surrendering now packed now. As
You
soon as
would think, right?
look, as soon as something out of whack, you be like, okay, God, I surrender. It's yours. That should come easy to you now after all this.
It is easier. I will say that. I
Yeah.
will say that it is easier. And surrender is not an ugly word to me anymore. I can say
Okay.
that I have learned to not run away from it. I have learned. We still learn it as we walk, this journey of grief for my son. I
Right.
am learning that too, to just take it slowly, take it as it comes.
So yeah, so we're gonna talk about Corey now. Tell us about Corey.
Oh wow. I think Corey is going to be what my next book is about. That'll
Okay.
be how can I put Corey into words? Corey, first of all, I have to tell you that while Corey is living in heaven, he very much makes his presence known still to today. He's still teaching, he's still here. I know that to be true because I still find things from him around the house that he's placed for me to find. Corey had such a brilliant, bright, energetic spirit. This kid had a smile. If I thought about it, I would have given you a picture.
I got one.
Oh,
Hi.
you do? You have it.
Yes, honey. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
good. I'm so
So
glad.
I got one.
Okay.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, up
look at it.
there it is. Yes, that's my Corey. Yes. This child had a smile. That is the smile that you would see on his face almost every day. And if you didn't see that smile, then something was going on that you need to pay attention to. But the how do I even put it into words? His personality was simply magnetic. He would go out during the day with his assistant. We would write goals for Corey to be able to learn to spend money, to be able to greet people in the community, to work. He would go out with an assistant during the day to do these things. And everywhere he went, people would tell me that they met Corey and just talk about how his smile and his presence changed their lives. There are still people coming up to me telling me that they remember just being in his presence and how much that meant to them. Um, he was a child who made the most of every single day. Like I said, as he grew older, he understood what he liked and what he didn't like. And as we continued to work with him, he was able to write down the things that he liked and what he didn't like. So every day, we have stacks of notebooks in his room still. He wrote down what he was going to do that next day, where he was going to go, and what he wanted to do when he got there. So on Mondays, he would get up in the morning and he decided he was going to Dollar Tree to learn to spend his money. He was going to have lunch at Firehouse Subs, and they
Okay.
were going to go to the park so he could paint. And he would come in usually around this time of night and show me his notebook and tell me what he was going to do for the next day. So I learned from Mr. Corey Grant that we have to have plans for ourselves in this life. We have to appreciate
Mm.
our lives, no matter what life is showing us.
Mm.
Whether he had a seizure that day or not, he was still planning to do what he had to do. He was still going to wear his smile. He was still going to carry on. So I learned to do the same thing. Um, he was a very creative soul. So he
Mm.
spent a lot of his time painting and listening to music. And I'm thinking back to what you and I were just talking about, how we take minute by minute to be able to
Mm.
move through this life. I think a lot of the way he was able to do that is because he continued to surround himself by things that made him happy. So the headphones that he's wearing in that picture serve two purposes. He got a chance to listen to the music that he liked to kind of help uplift his mood. And it also helped to protect him because he was highly sensitive to loud noises or things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So those headphones serve two purposes. But from him, I learned that it's important that we not only plan our day, but we make sure that we include in our day those things that give us love and help us to stay calm.
Yeah.
Um, he was authentic. He was always himself. He never had any concern about what anyone else thought about him, or he never let any labels or anything that anyone put on him limit him. He just continued to be his best self. And I can tell you that from being his mother, I too stopped being as sensitive about what other people thought or what they said or anything.
So he inspired you.
He, my children absolutely teach me as much as I teach them, if not more. I can say I honestly learned probably more from them than they learned from me. Honestly, he definitely did inspire me and still
So
does.
despite him dealing with autism,
Mhm.
he had a job.
Yes,
Tell us
he
about
did.
his job.
He
Working.
worked a couple of jobs actually. He worked for a nonprofit here in Charlotte where he did their databases. They had this was a nonprofit that had lots of donors. So he would take the names of the people that were giving them money and he had to create a spreadsheet and a database and put all of those names in that database along with the amount of money that they would give. Corey was an IT genius, just like my other son followed in
That,
his dad's footsteps. Corey too. Anything related to technology, computers, tablets, anything electronic, that was his thing. And so he went to work at this nonprofit doing just that, creating databases and spreadsheets, entering information for them.
man, that alone is like for a young person dealing with autism
Mhm.
and can work IT. That alone says a whole lot
It
about him.
does. It really does. And to be honest, what they're finding is a lot of young people diagnosed with autism seem to have that gift. So much so that companies like Microsoft have started programs specifically for hiring young people diagnosed with autism because they're noticing that a lot of people diagnosed with autism seem to have a connection in that way. And he absolutely did. You didn't catch him anywhere. You'll notice those headphones have a little wire attached. That's because he had a tablet in that picture. He always
Mhm.
went somewhere with something electronic. So, yes, that was one of his jobs. His second, we were starting a business for him because he liked to paint. So, we were starting a business where he would create things and sell his paintings in the
Oh
community. So,
wow.
that was another thing that
Very,
he was
very,
doing.
very inspiring.
Yes, yes, he definitely is. Oh, what else can I tell you about this job? Little things let me know that he and his presence, my belief system, when people do go to heaven, they still have their presence around you. Love never ends, and I don't believe their presence does either. There's a candle that Corey himself picked. It's one of those flameless candles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, not flameless. Is that right? You know the
Yeah,
ones that they're not
about a
real.
battery. Yeah.
Yes, battery operated. He
Mm-hmm.
picked this candle. It had to be months before he actually went to heaven. And we had it next to his side of the bed. Do you know that he made his transition to heaven in November of 22, and that candle is still lit without having changed any batteries or anything?
What?
That candle is still there. I find journal entries that he's written stuck in my journal. Little words like there's one. He really liked this one band called Journey, and they have this song that's called "Don't Stop Believing." So he
Mhm.
wrote the words, "Mommy, don't stop believing," in my
Oh,
journal and I found it. So we're always finding notes
oh
from
wow.
him, or seeing a video of him that comes up on our phone at the right time, at the right moment when we might be having a moment. He just goes, God just allows us him to go out of the way to let us know
Right.
he still lives. He still lives. And for that, now you tell me if I'm running ahead because I'll just keep talking.
Mm-mm. Go ahead, child.
Okay. We started with Nakia Bai, who is the founder of Trusted Parents, the nonprofit that helps young people diagnosed with autism or any kind of special healthcare need. We started a scholarship program because what she's done every summer, she has a camp for children diagnosed with special needs and or their siblings. And as her son, Malik, who was a friend of Corey's and is around the same age. Hi, Carol. One of the things she's decided to do is expand the program. So now Trusted Parents is offering a day program for young adults diagnosed with special needs. A lot of times children these days diagnosed with
Mm-hmm.
special needs are starting to get a lot of attention. Now the word autism isn't quite as misunderstood as it used to be. Still a
Mm-hmm.
lot of education needed, but people hear it and at least understand what you mean when you say it. But as they grow to adults and they enter adulthood, a lot of the programs are not there anymore. It's just, it kind of nurtures them until they get to a certain age and then things just kind of fall apart. So what Trusted Parents now offers is a day program so that young adults have the opportunity to go to a place to learn life skills, much like Corey would do during the day with his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Not only learn to spend money, but he would learn to do his laundry. He learned to clean. He learned to cook, all of these things. Trusted Parents is offering something similar, and we now have a scholarship fund to pay for a young adult diagnosed with autism to go to that particular summer camp at Trusted Parents. And the scholarship is called Corey's Campers, so that these young adults will have the opportunity to spend the day doing things they love, just like Corey had
Mm.
the
That's
opportunity.
awesome. And that's located in Charlotte.
That's in Charlotte, yes. The program, Trusted Parents, and you can find it at trustedparents.org, is an amazing organization in general. We're here to lend support to those parents who do have children with special needs because it's so important to have support, monthly support
Mm-hmm.
groups. We're just here to help with plans for school, educational goals. It's an amazing organization, and I'm proud to be associated with it. And I'm really happy that we have that scholarship fund to try to help another young adult be able to enjoy as Corey did.
Awesome. So you done, child, you done had going back from when you done had diagnosed with lupus,
Mhm.
dialysis,
Mhm.
a heart transplant, kidney transplant, lost your baby.
Mm.
How do you view life with a second chance?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm a hot back. Actually, I had open heart surgery, but didn't have to have a heart
Heart
transplant.
transplant. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
but I did have a kidney transplant, and that's a great question. How do I view life second chance? Oh, I see this as an opportunity, a really big opportunity to be able to learn from the lessons that I've been taught. Um, I see this as my opportunity to give back to another parent or another person who stood in the positions that I was standing in.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is calling me to help support people who are moving through unexpected change. That I feel is part of the call in my life, to be able to help people know that they can move through unexpected change with
Mm-hmm.
greater peace and with greater health and with greater comfort. So my goal with this second wind of life is to be able to help people who are moving through situations like that and help them to be able to do it with greater ease. um, that's my prayer. That's what I really want to do: inspire and empower people who are moving through a diagnosis for themselves or for a loved one. People who have children diagnosed with autism and not sure where to find the resources. People who are themselves waiting for kidney transplants or have other things that are chronic illnesses that are being placed on them. People who are walking through grief. I do want
Mm-hmm.
them to know how to do so with greater ease and greater peace. And I do feel like that's part of what this second wind of life that I've been given is allowing me to do.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hmm.
So with everything that you've been facing, you and the family facing, with everything that you're facing, it's telling you to give up.
Hmm.
It's telling you to give up.
Hmm.
But what inspired y'all to keep going to fight even harder during that time?
I can say definitely my children and my husband. They encourage me to keep going. I thank God for having a spirit that really doesn't know how to give up. I said that I had to learn surrender. I guess one of the pluses is that I'm a little stubborn and I'm
You gotta
always
be
ready to
a
do.
warrior.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, I'm ready to push through, especially if it feels like it's something that might be needed for someone that I love. So for my children, I knew I had to get through that situation, and I was determined to do so. For my husband, I knew I had to get through that situation, and I was determined to do so. to show gratitude to my mother who moved in and just assumed our life to help. I had to do it for my brother, for my father who was there for me. That I was surrounded by, and I continue to be surrounded by people who love me.
Mm.
And just to see them be willing to give up everything to help me made me know that I had to give it all to be back for them. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just so grateful to be here, and I just feel compelled to be able to share that same love and that same spirit and support that I receive with other people, because I know that's not everybody's story, and I know that some people are struggling and
Mhm.
really can use just a kind word or to know about a program that might be able to help them. And I want to be able to stand in that gap if I can, to be able to help ease the suffering or the challenges that someone else might be going through in facing a situation similar to what I walked through.
Mhm. Yes, that's so inspiring because that's a lot. That's a lot, and no, and everybody not able. And
Yeah.
like Carolyn said, warrior.
Thank you.
God
Thank you.
gave it to the warrior because He know you couldn't handle it.
Mm, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for saying that. I do.
yeah,
Mm,
definitely a warrior.
thank you. Yeah, it's
I was,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I realize now that the same lessons that I learned, though, the experience that I went through was really kind of a life or death situation at certain parts. I know that those same lessons can be applied to people who are moving through things as simple as moving from being younger women into middle age or facing menopause. Those same lessons I feel like are applying in other areas of my life too. So I'm trying to find ways to share those same lessons, and that's where book 3 is coming in, being able to share those same lessons with people who are facing change, no matter what it is,
Mhm.
expected or unexpected, small or large. I just want them to know that there is a way out of a situation that they're in, and that they can receive support, and that they do have at their fingertips the ability to be able to move through it, just because God literally created us to be able to do so.
Mhm. And you said that like change.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to accept the change rather than resist the change?
Mm.
Because
You said
everything's gonna change.
everything's going to change. It's critical that we accept it. I was reading something the other day that said, not only does life have change, life is change. And if we
Mhm.
can learn to define life exactly in those terms, life literally is change. So it's not something that we have to learn to adapt to. Since we're living, we're going to, by its
Mhm.
very nature, that's what it is. So it is critical that we understand that, and that we allow ourselves to be able to flow through it. It's much easier said than done. It really is.
Yeah.
But what I have learned through all these experiences, as you just said, if we allow ourselves to accept it instead of resist it, we can flow more easily.
Mhm.
Literally flow through the experience instead
Yeah.
of letting it be something that we're kind of butting our heads up against. And I did do that in the very beginning when I went to the hospital at first. I literally told the doctor no when he said, "This is what we're finding." I said, "You have the wrong chart." I wasn't rude about it. I just said, this is
Right.
incorrect. You have the wrong chart, and that doesn't sound like me. So I need you to do that again. And they did, and he came back with the same results, saying, "No, this is what we're finding. So we're going to have to go ahead and move forward from here." So that resistant attitude wasn't getting me anywhere. It was
Mhm.
when I learned to accept. I had to learn to accept, and by accepting, it didn't mean, it took me time to learn this too. Accepting doesn't mean that we're okay with the situation. It just means that we have to understand where we are in that moment so we can move forward from there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, not resisting, but accepting is the key.
Yeah. Accepting it because God healing sometimes don't look like how our healing looks.
Hmm. Hmm.
We
Hmm.
be expecting to get healing in one way, but God said no, He got another way,
That's right.
and we got to
That's
be able to accept that.
that's right. I I had that conversation with my minister too, because I was saying to her, like I told everyone else, this isn't right. There's that resistance again. This isn't right. No,
Mhm.
this is not how it's supposed to be. And I've prayed about it. And I remember one day I literally came to her and said, I think this is enough. I think it's been long enough. I've done dialysis long enough, and I've prayed, and I've been doing all the things. So I feel like that's enough. And
Mm.
I'm just being honest. That's what I think. And
Right.
she said exactly what you said. I understand exactly what you're saying. But she said, our timing is not God's timing.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to sit here. And she said, I'm going to tell you something though. We can use the power that God gave us. And she said, I want you to know you can come to me with anything. But every time I look at you, Candace, she said, I'm not going to see you as a broken person. I will not see you as sickly. She said, I see you as God made you, which is whole and complete. And I will
Mm-hmm.
not see you with any limitations. She said, I will see you as the healed person that you already are. So we're not going to ask or tell God how to deliver this healing or when to deliver the healing. We're just going to trust and know that God is delivering the healing. That's our job. So I know you might be feeling tired, but she said, I'm not ignoring you. I just want you to know I see past all of that. And I'm already
Mm-hmm.
celebrating the healing that God has delivered. We're just going to wait and see when it comes. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
you're
so
right.
so awesome to have that type of person. I say
Yes.
person because people, it's that amazing to have that type of person that can see past
Mm,
what you can't sometimes see because you're in the middle of going through it. When we're
that's
in the middle of going through it, we can't see it as clear. That's why we need that person beside us that can see past where we can see.
right. Hmm.
No matter how
Hmm.
we feel, no matter
Hmm.
how we act towards them, they see
Hmm.
greater for us.
That's right. That's right. You are so right. And what's interesting is my minister's name is Reverend Claire Middleton. She too went to heaven a couple of years ago. And all of this support that I'm talking about, these people being in the right place at the right time to offer that message, like you said, when I needed to hear it, that's part of the reason why I know I have to be able to do that for somebody else
Mm-hmm.
because there was always somebody around. That's right, Carolyn. That's right. Thank you, God, in advance. That's faith. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. I was always surrounded by a person. And Aldrina, sometimes a person I didn't even know. Like one day I was in the hospital and I was waiting for some test. And that particular day I was just tired and I was sad. I wanted to get home to my children. I wanted to see my husband. He was coming later that day, of course, but I thought I'm just, God, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired of being stuck and pricked and I just want to be done with
Right.
it. So I was waiting for a test and I was lying there reading a book. I can't even remember the name of it now. But this orderly went by. He was pushing a patient to another part of the hospital, and he said, "What are you reading?" And I told him the name of the book. I said, "I'm just trying to read something that's going to be uplifting." And he said, "I'm gonna come back and talk to you." And I said, "Okay." So I went in for my test and eventually I was taken back up to my room. This was in Carolina's Medical Center. It's now called Atrium. And I don't know if you know that hospital, but it is massive. It is huge. So I was on one end of this gigantic complex and I was taken all the way to the other end to my room. So
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of went about my business and he came to my room.
Mm-hmm.
And that was noteworthy by itself because this building is it's I've never seen a hospital this huge before. So he walked in. He said, "Hey, yeah, I said I was going to come talk to you." And I sat there saying, "How did you know where to find me?" And he just cut me off, say, "Look, I have a message for you." He said, "God said to make for me to tell you. He knows you're tired. He
Mm-hmm.
knows what you're going through. And he said he knows that sometimes you're sitting here trying to figure out how you're going to make it through another day, and that you just want to go home. But God said for me to tell you, daughter, just take one more step and
Mm-hmm.
hold on. Just take one more step and keep holding on." I I'm a talkative person, but I had no words at that point. All I could do was cry. And he just stood there with me saying, "God just told me to tell you it's going to be all right." And he
Mm-hmm.
left. And what's interesting, Aldrina, I tried to ask the nurses later on. I said, there was this orderly who was here and he was so helpful. I wanted to be able to reach out to him to tell him thank you. They had no idea who I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, like you said, to have that word come when you need it, for somebody just to be there to deliver you a message when you
Mm-hmm.
can't see through is
Mm-hmm.
critical. And I want to be able to do that for
Mm-hmm.
other people
Yeah. God will send who you need or what you need when you need it.
when you need it, when you need it, the way
Mm-hmm.
you need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
No
gonna
matter
find
who he got to use, he gonna
that's
get it. He gonna
that's
get it
right.
to you.
That's right. That's right. That I know. That I know. It's no longer that I have to kind of, play with this theory because I'm a child in church hearing it being spoken. That is truth. It's going to find you. You're
Yeah.
going to have support, visible and invisible. You
Mm.
will. You do.
So we ain't got to worry about who's not supporting, who's not here, who's not there, because guess what? He gonna send who you need when you need it, no matter what the situation is.
That's right. That is the truth.
Whew, I think I'm gonna go to sleep on that one tonight.
We
Yeah,
both can.
yes.
That's
You
right.
gave me some nuggets today, child. I done wrote down some stuff
Oh,
and gave
good.
me some nuggets to yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
To
good. It's
not
good to
only
talk about this.
yes, it's very, very, your story is very inspiring. And to see, the trials and
Mhm.
tribulations that you went through, but you still got a smile on your face. You still
Thank you.
got joy in your heart,
Yes.
and you
Yeah,
still ready to help somebody else.
I have to. I have to. Thank you. I have to. I tell people this is my smile, but this is also Corey's smile because wherever he went, he had that same smile. So I do feel charged to be able to share that, let his joy come through me and share it with the world. I really do. I feel it in my heart. So I wanted to show on my face. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it.
It is. So
Yeah.
you got anything that you want to encourage the people that somebody that gonna catch it on a replay? Maybe they dealing with a child with autism. Are they struggling with their health themselves and they just don't know, they just tired too.
Hmm.
How can you
Hmm.
encourage them on tonight?
Oh, all I can say is I do know. I do understand exactly what you're feeling. I know what it's like to be walking through the dark and really not know exactly what you're going to do to get to the light. But I can promise you it doesn't take as much effort as you think it does. And these are not just words. These are not just words. As I said before, I read something that said God is a verb and not a noun. This is action that I'm talking about. If you can allow yourself to take a deep breath, no matter where you are, and close your eyes and just know that it's going to find you, there are resources available for you. There is a way for you. Don't give up hope.
Mhm.
Continue to reach out and trust and know that the right solutions will find you. Feel
Mhm.
free to connect with me. I am on Facebook, Candace Grant, spelled just as it is here on the screen. And I'm happy to connect with you by messenger. If there's anything I can do to connect you with resources, whether that means this is a person who's going through or facing a diagnosis and ready to live beyond that, or has a child diagnosed with a special diagnosis, I have history and advocacy. And if I can't help you, I'm happy to connect you with someone who will. Um,
Mhm.
you can find me again on Facebook, also on Instagram, author Candace Grant, Author Candace Grant, spelled just like it is on the screen. I am most happy to help.
Awesome. Carolyn says that Candice is a beautiful spirit and has already been a help and resource with our granddaughter's journey with her diagnosis.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. She's incredible. Carolyn is a beautiful spirit too. Thank you, Carolyn. I
Uh,
appreciate you.
that is awesome. So
Mhm.
I just pray that God just continue to allow you the grace and give you the strength that you need to just keep inspiring others.
Thank you.
Keep
Thank you.
inspiring others and inspiring yourself too, because sometimes we put so much on others, don't forget about ourselves.
Mm,
Don't
you're
forget
so
about
right.
ourselves. So just keep pressing through, keep smiling,
Okay.
and keep showing the love of God.
Thank you. Thank
And
you,
we
El.
thank you for joining us tonight on Transitioning to Wholeness.
Thank you, Aldrina. Thank you for this forum. Thank you for always putting out such great information and for your show. Thank you for just being who you are. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. We'll catch y'all next time on Transitioning to Wholeness. Good
Good
night.
night. Good night.